Okay, so a couple things. Okay, I'm excited to get on the road. I'm also just very nervous, but I'm gonna do it. I've had to do this in like such baby steps. But I'm gonna go drop the car off and I'm gonna walk from there. Just gonna go places. So I mean it's a muggy day. It'll probably rain. The weather has been crazy. It's funny because it feels like the Truman Show. It feels like the weather's been like, it's been like storming all across the US, all fucking everywhere. Been really weird, crazy weather that most people aren't used to. Tornadoes and shit like that, and like floods and stuff. And it feels like, you know, everything is pointing in the direction of you shouldn't be going out and doing this, except for my heart driving me, and all my thoughts and my heart and my feelings and my connection to things. And all of that's added up. I know a lot of it I can't explain to people because when I do, it's just, it seems silly and crazy. But yeah, there's definitely, there is, sorry, I need to put the air on because it's fucking hot. I don't need to put the iron. I'm going to be walking around and dealing with this. So I'm just trying to take full advantage of every thing I have. And that was something that I learned when I had to put my dog down recently. And also then leaving my other dog where she was safest and most comfortable. Because, man, is that hard. But forget what it's even saying. Sacrifices suck. For sure, but when I put my dog down, I realized how, I mean, just all of that regret, you know, of I wish that I would have appreciated things more, because had I known how they were going to end, like, I just would have savored the moments even more than I did. But with Lily, who I ended up having to put down, I did savor my moments with her, because I'd already learned through having my other dog for 8 years at that time when I got her that, like, you know, she just, that it's, you know, I don't know. It was very easy for me to appreciate Lily, but when she was gone, I still found myself regretful, but at the same time, not really. I was thankful for my time with her. I felt like I did my best with her. I think we all end up regretting certain things, but it wasn't like necessarily holding me back. However, you know, it really helped me to like reflect on how much I needed to actively appreciate the relationship that I have with my other dog. And this is part of it. That's what made this so hard, because it almost felt like it was a setup to like keep me from being able to move on because of how much I would want to cling to her just because of the loss. But like, I'm not giving her a better life right now. She's in a better place right now being with my parents than, you know, being in a car with me, or not in a fucking car. I'm about to get rid of the car. And like, I don't know, it's just hard, but I've definitely been, you know, this year been really having to focus on like what appreciation actually means, and how to like actually be thankful for the experiences that you have while you have them, so that you're not finding yourself in guilt. The worst thing I think about regret isn't the sentiments and the empathy towards past mistakes, or ways that you might have hurt somebody in the past or anything. Those things are all good and part of the healing. It just, you don't want to live in regret, because regret is negative emotions held on about an experience that you're no longer in control of. And if you have the capacity to put your energy into something, you don't want to put it into regretting things that you've already done. You want to put it into becoming something better, you know, and hopefully keeping yourself from making those same mistakes in the future. I found a lot of people, you know, it's easy to apologize. People that find it easy to apologize tend to over apologize and not actually hold themselves accountable to their actions, because it's easy to apologize. Where a lot of people that don't find it easy to apologize, just find it easier to stay an asshole, because it's so hard to apologize that like people are just going to assume that they're an asshole anyways. And so it's, everybody has their excuses to continue to do things that are not helpful to either to themselves or to those around them or to whatever circumstances they're a part of. And that's just really my focus constantly, is to like get people to become aware of how much that's not helping them either. You know, like none of that is good for anyone. You know, I don't want to spend my time now, whether I'm with my dog or away from both of them, regretting the times that I did or didn't have with them. I would rather spend my time remembering all of the wonderful, incredible, amazing things that we've done and all the love that we've shared, and letting that drive me to more pleasant experiences. You know, it is the energy that we tend to keep and hold on to that attracts what energy we tend to take on. If you are in a constant negative state, you tend to take on more negativity. Cynicism is something very easy to fall into because of that. It cycles itself and supports itself, and positivity and happiness do the same thing. It's just that when we, you know, have so many experiences or have been so focused on negativity for such a span of time, we have to equal that out with just as much positivity and happiness, or it's easy to fall back into the comforts of what we've given more time and energy to. And so, yeah, all of those things, that's why I find it very important to just be self-accountable in order to be self-actualized, and to be self-actualized in order to be properly connected and in alignment with your reality and your experience. And if you're in alignment with your reality and your experience and your truest self, every interaction that you have or the people that you interact with will also be forced to become more in alignment with their own true selves, you know, because like you won't be the people that I've made spaces for to take advantage. I was also making spaces for them to not be in alignment with truth. You know, I can turn around and be like, oh, this person's such a monster for hurting me. But when I made spaces to be hurt, like, I mean, if I didn't just get bum rushed while running, you know what I mean, by some stranger, like stuff like that, the relationships that I made excuses for certain behaviors that led to other certain behaviors and stuff, like I try to take responsibility for those things just as much, because it takes two to tango, you know, and it is important that we take a constant responsibility for ourselves and our reality. It's very easy to get into the victim mentality, and all that does is just give your power away to anything that would want to take power over you. Why would you want to do that? Being self-accountable isn't fun, but it's necessary. You know, it's necessary. It's necessary for growth. It's necessary for establishing healthy relationships. Period. I think a lot of people have sustainable relationships, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're healthy or balanced. I think that, you know, a lot of people have incredibly toxic dynamics in their relationships and are perfectly comfortable with that. It's all that they've been exampled, and it's all that they seem to know, and so it seems okay. Even when it is in direct conflict with their happiness, people will choose to accept that because it's all that they know. And the fear of uncertainty is so discomforting that the comfort of toxicity is preferred. And that's a shame. I am king of that behavior. In my life, I have proven a great capacity to compromise myself for the sake of convenience. And in even crazy emotional delusional ways where, like, you know, I was just thinking about it because I just got out of the bathroom, and I've never openly talked or admitted that I go poop, because girls don't do that. But everybody knows that I'm a dude, so I don't know why I'd be so afraid of talking about it. But I used to have an actual paranoia of going to the bathroom, especially in public. But going to the bathroom in general, like I would hold my shit for like 5 days as a child on the regular. I was told it wasn't healthy, and I would have stomach aches all the time and stuff, and I would take tons of Tums to make up for it. But it was all just because I wanted to be a girl, and I was very uncomfortable with my bodily functions. to the point that I was extremely paranoid of them. And yeah, I was putting myself in physical danger just to keep from accepting myself. And so it's crazy that as an adult, like, I've lived on the road for so long that it's not, I mean, I still try to be respectful. I still don't like just like acting like that's what I'm doing. I still like to be like, if I can get away with keeping it a secret, I prefer to. But like, I use public restrooms all the time to go number two, and it's not something that's fun or great, but it's something that is rewarding for me in the weirdest way, because it always reminds me that I'm okay enough myself, like that I'm confident enough to do basic survival things without having to, compromise myself about it, or like make myself feel crazy for that, or like at all less valuable. It's taken years. I'm in my 30s, so those types of things, like, it can be so silly, the things we choose to reflect on, or the things that we recognize we need work on and stuff like that. Like, I mean, it can be big, serious things, like, if you're constantly cheating on your partners, sort of deal, right? Like, that's serious because you're fucking up relationships. Like, just be single. You don't have to hurt people, and I think that's the thing. A lot of people, like, get themselves caught up into situations and systems where they feel like, well, it's inevitable that things are going to be bad one way or the other, where it's like, well, no, things are only inevitably negative all the time because everybody has that attitude. The second that you take responsibility, accountability, and self-actualize to the point of not of being able to recognize the energy transference and things, and to take accountability for those things, like, you'd quickly find, like, that's what it is. Yeah, Red Bull, I like drinking Red Bull. I like drinking caffeine. I do it all the time. I like eating fast food. Those things are all so stimulating, in the moment. But that you're overdoing it when you use it, and then you feel like shit, right? Or that you're not using it right. Alcohol is fucking awful. But if you eat a good meal and are drinking lots of water and are just using it to enhance your experience, I don't see anything wrong with it. It's the very second that you begin abusing it in order to make your experience palpable in ways that are when you're turning to that thing to make your experience valuable, that's when it becomes an issue, and we do that with everything. We have the capacity to do that with just about anything. So I think that, again, it's just always about being willing to reflect on yourself and being willing to make those changes. I had to understand how, well, when I lived in my car, I was quickly confronted with the reality that I was going to have to find a way to either shit in gas stations or shit outdoors, because despite wanting so bad to be a woman, I do shit. So, from time to time, it's necessary. And being able to come to terms with that has been quite a process. It's been quite a process. I never got to read that book that everybody poops, So I've always questioned it. And yeah, so it's a weird thing as an adult to be able to go to the bathroom and then be like, sorry, but that it is what it is. I don't know. But those types of things like that, I think so many times too, people think that like healing and processing and self-actualization are like these big things where it looks like you becoming this big masterful person in all these different ways, where it's like, no, you're just mastering yourself. If I didn't tell you that had been such a strong phobia for me and that this is how I feel about these things now, you wouldn't know, and you wouldn't need to. These are my own things for my own self. But that is honestly the essence of self-actualization. The benefit is that the more self-actualized you are, the more that you know yourself, the more in alignment with your truest self that you are, the better energy you're putting out, the more you're connected with all things, the more of a benefit you are to the world around you. But it's still a personal act, and you're still doing it for yourself. And it's not something that you have to put out into the world. It will reflect when you're actively doing it. People don't know that that's where my confidence is coming from. That, like, yeah, I just shit in public. People don't have to know that, you know? What they're receiving is the energy transference, not receiving what I just did. They're receiving the energy transference of how it made me feel. And, you know, that's why so many people, alarming amount of people are involved in black magic, because it's a cheap way to experience those feelings without actively having to do the real work. You know, you can kill a crow instead of, you know, fucking figuring yourself out. So I don't know. We live in a weird world where people are up to a lot of weird shit, and I think it's very important that we just address ourselves as honestly as possible, and so that we cut that shit out. Because those people aren't being honest with themselves either. I am definitely fighting against black artists. I can appreciate the dark arts. I study the occult. I don't have a problem with the existence of those things. I have a problem with people being so convoluted that they actively think that they're in control of that stuff. Like, the level of education that it takes to even know what you're doing is insane. Most people that are practicing that stuff are drug addicts, sex addicts, whatever. They're addicts and dimwits. They're not intelligent people. They're narcissists. They're bitter, angry victims that just want to feel powerful. They're, you know, the weird kids that were isolated and couldn't make friends, and now they're mad at the world about it and just want to project their anger onto everybody else. I've met maybe 2 practitioners of the dark arts in my life that did so with any level of respect. And one of them was killed for it. So, you know, that's just how it works. That's how it works when you involve yourself in a cult. That's why I'm also not for those things. And I think anybody that thinks that that's where they're getting their power is not recognizing where their power actually is, and is forfeiting it for a collective power that is actually just siphoning their energy from them for lesser use. I mean, none of that stuff ends up lasting. It's just, I'm mad at this girl for making me feel bad about myself, so now I'm gonna curse her. Like, dumb shit. I don't know. So I'm always working against that stuff too. A lot of what I do in my life is to, like, use what I've learned in order to show how it should be being used. But I don't have tons of money and I'm not rich and famous to show for that. The times that I've had the opportunities to push for those things, I forfeited that because that is not what I want. It's not what I want. That's not the power that I'm not trying to give my power to those things. If it comes naturally, great. But if they're asking to sell my soul for it, it's not going to happen. I've had lots of other people that have made it way further than me now because they sold out, and great for them. But, you know, when I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable with it than they are. Period. Because I'm doing the work. And I know for a fact that they're not, because I have conversations with them. You know, the richest and most famous people that I know struggle with both of those things. I don't struggle with shit because I don't got to. I don't got it. I didn't take that stuff on, you know. And even the ways that I have had any sort of abundance or influence, you know, it's not been about me. And I've tried to direct those things away from myself, because then it doesn't have to be a personal responsibility. My personal responsibility is to myself to just do my fucking best. And as long as I'm doing my best, the universe does with it as it needs to. I don't have to worry that, like, I have bad karma coming back that I have to make up for, and that I'm not having to, like, walk on eggshells all the fucking time, because I'm not out here doing dumb shit. Yeah, I am, but it's dumb shit that, like, is normal dumb shit that affects me. No, it's not normal dumb shit. My life is fucking crazy. I get it. I do things very different than most people, but that's because I'm thinking for my actual self and trying to live for my actual self, and not just following the rules, which is another thing about, you know, all these Satanists and punk rockers that think that they're right. All these Satanists that think that they're punk rockers when they're just following a religion. You're just a religious person. You're just as lame as any fucking Christian or any fucking, you know, Hindu or whatever it is that you don't like. You're no different. try to disrespect people, but I don't have a lot of respect for religious people, to be honest. At this point, I used to, when I was younger, have a lot more, be willing to have a lot more, even when I was in disagreement. But we're at a point now where, like, if you have access to society and education and information whatsoever, if you watch the news, you know, like if you have the capacity to watch the news and you choose to watch Fox News, I think that you're actually an idiot. Like, I think that you should, at this point, be able, like, just as a human being, be able to. There's way too much information out there to recognize how insane all of this bullshit is. So anybody that's actively giving into any specific outlet and any specific bias that isn't their own, like, I don't mean that you're like a lost cause, but you make your own choices. You're not where my energy needs to. I'm not worried about you. You know what I mean? I'm worried about the people that are actively thinking for themselves and getting caught up in manipulations and actively thinking for themselves and intentionally trying to be as negative as possible, because that's, you know, because they're weak. You know, people that crave power, people that crave influence, people that would fight for, you know, to be on top of anything are weak. You don't have to do that. I literally don't need fucking shit to stand tall. Literally nothing. I left everything. So I have, you know, 5 pairs of clothes, maybe. I have, you know, stuff to clean up with. I have some notebook paper, some paper, some art, you know, pencils and stuff like that to do art with. And that's about it. That's about it. That's all that I have to my name right now, and $140. And I am free. I'm free. I'm free, and I'm blessed, and I'm not held down, and I don't feel like I don't have to fucking go to work and waste my life away feeling like shit so that I can make a good paycheck, so that I can have a nice house that I can feel like shit in. Those things don't make me happy. What makes me happy is not feeling tied down to things. And here I am, free as a bird. So, you know, I don't have debts I have to pay off. I have medical debt that I'm not going to pay, to be honest. I'm not going to pay for my mental health. I mean, if I happen into enough money where I can afford it, I absolutely will, because I'm not trying to stay in debt. But that is not what I'm trying to focus. What I'm trying to focus on right now is just getting a roof over my head that's stable, and then having like a stable diet and stuff. Working on the things that I should actively be responsible for, and then forcing the world to be responsible for the things that it should be responsible for. And we're just going to see how this works out. You know, it's all a process, and I am but one man. So, you know, I'm aware that this is a process, and I don't expect the world to change overnight. But as long as I can stay on top of my shit, I'm gold.